Habari Entertainment proudly presents Habari Live. Habari Live. From Phoenix, Arizona. And you're listening to the Habari Live podcast. The show that brings you news, sports, and entertainment for people who love HabariEntertainment.com. Here are your hosts, Iesha, Jimmy, and Damon Dipleen Ellison. Let's get it going. We are all the way live.
Yo. Another Saturday, another week, another crazy situation with Trump and his administration. But I think we're all pretty much used to that. And that's another day in the crazy administration of the Trump regime. And we've watched some craziness happen this week, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to go over it. We're going to go through it. We're going to discuss it with the people, and we're going to see what everyone thinks about where the country is headed right now, and how they feel about it, and how we feel about it, and what's best for the future. That's always what we're about here at Habari Live. But good morning. Habari Ghani, my people. We are thrilled to bring you the latest edition of Habari Live, your go-to podcast for the pulse of Phoenix and beyond. As always, we are all the way live in Paradise Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Damon Dipleen Ellison and my co-host,
Iesha.
We will be your guide through exciting stories and everyday happenings in our vibrant community. Your weekly dose of inspiration, innovation, and insightful conversations from the heart of our city. So let's get it going. Good morning. And, we're going to talk about what happened this week, man, and how, it's affecting us. But first, let's get to the top stories of the week with Iesha. Let's go.
For sure. There's a lot been going on this week, so here are the top stories that we've been following this week. The FBI reportedly opened up a criminal leak investigation involving the Atlantic journalist Sarah Fitzpatrick after she published allegations surrounding FBI Director Kash Patel's behavior while leading the bureau. According to MS Now, the article details claims of heavy drinking and erratic conduct inside the agency. The investigation is already raising concerns from press freedom advocates and critics who say that the move could intimidate journalists covering federal law enforcement.
The most transparent administration ever, showing themselves to be against the First Amendment again. I mean, it's pretty apparent that they are 100% against the First Amendment. Anytime a journalist has anything to say that's bad against them, they are suing, or they're sticking their FBI or DOJ, sticking their FBI or DOJ on them. Like, it's pretty clear, man, how they feel. And it's pretty disgusting. And then, like I say, they always get mad when you call them authoritarian, when you say that this is a regime. And people, they get mad, and then they pull stuff like this. It just doesn't make any sense, man. And, Kash Patel, the article came out, the reporter doing what reporters do, breaking stories. And, they trying to sue him. They trying to go after him. They got the FBI going into their offices, checking them. Like, this shit is crazy, man. It's pretty wild to see them do the things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Trump's DOJ, and this is how they move. This is how they do things. This is how they do things. But man, dog, it's pretty crazy, man, to see firsthand Americans going through this. It's reporters are just doing their jobs. Stop being drunk on the job. People are obviously reporting this to her. She's gathering the information and reporting it.
Right.
Like, it's crazy, man. I don't get it. But Kash Patel and all these people in the Trump regime think they're supposed to be specially protected. They're not supposed to see any repercussions for any of their actions. And that's just Trump going down, and that's just the way it goes. When your boss is that way, then you'll end up being that way also,
Hmm.
because you think you're never supposed to see um, any consequences for your actions.
Right.
But hey, keep going around.
I know. Moving on, in a major political decision with national implications, the Virginia Supreme Court has struck down the voter approved Democratic congressional redistricting plan. The ruling is seen as another setback for Democrats as both parties battle for control ahead of this year's midterm elections. Political analysts are saying that this decision could reshape several competitive districts and potentially strengthen Republican chances in the state of Virginia. What do you think?
We're gonna talk more about this as this episode go on, but it's just crazy how in the South they can gerrymander. They take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court's like, yeah, you can gerrymander. That's fine. You could take out black districts. That's fine. You could take out minority districts. That's cool. They should have never been able to use race anyway. Take that out. Because they've been trying to, kill the Civil Rights Act for decades. This is the main reason that they switched to the Republican Party, because Democrats had so much to do with the Civil Rights Act. And that's the way things are going the way they are right now, because they hate the Civil Rights Act. They hate everything that was afforded through that act. And before the Civil Rights Act, there weren't many black politicians getting any support in the South. None of them were getting voted in. After the act, we have hundreds that get opportunity. But now they're saying that, oh, we're in a post-racial America, and we'll go into it more. But man, it's just crazy that Virginia can say, oh, it's illegal for you to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but then all the other states, it's cool for them to do it. Like, it doesn't seem fair, man. What's going on right now, man? And this is the battle, and we'll keep. It's gonna be a fight every day, because they're trying to get as many seats as they think possible by redistricting, diluting black votes, carving out the black votes, putting them in different little districts, hoping that that would be enough to just wipe out the Democrat power, and so they won't be able to vote in anybody that they want. So it's crazy that they've, and this is in the middle of the decade. One thing about Republicans, man, they've always proven that they don't care about the rules. When it came to that Merrick Garland situation where they blocked him from being able to get voted in, Democrats don't do stuff like that, man. And that's why sometimes people call them weak, because the Republicans will do whatever it takes to do whatever they want. And the Democrats are going to look at the rules and look at the everything and decide, oh, we can't do it, instead of getting some balls and pushing through what needs to be pushed through to get things done. And that's the problem with the Democratic Party, man. They just seem they're weak. They don't do what it needs to be done to get the job done. They did the right thing. They let people vote. People voted in. Now I don't know if they're going to take this to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court right now, it seems like they can say you can draw the districts any way you want to. So we'll see, man. But just the fact that we're talking about creating districts halfway through the decade, and Republicans doing this and trying to make it so they can win, it's just crazy. And no one's the Republican Party, no one's from their side is saying, man, maybe we shouldn't cheat and do things like this, because you're only supposed to draw the districts at the beginning of the decade. 2030 is when the districts are supposed to be drawn up. But they wanna fight right now. They want to win for Trump. So they're doing and cheating and doing whatever they have to do to get it done. And it's just like I said, politics are dirty. And it seems like the Democrats always try to play everything the right way and do everything the right way and be the good person, while the politics from the right or just do whatever it takes to get what they want done. And if that takes gerrymandering, that takes cheating, making the Virginia judges, they're like, nah, you can't do that. You can't redistrict. But then the Supreme Court is like, yeah, you can redistrict and draw out all the black people. Yeah, that's cool. Like it's crazy. The contrast, how they can say in one judge can say, hey, it's bad. You can't redistrict. You can't do that. Then another judge, yeah, you could do it. Draw out all the black people, draw out all the brown people. It's fine. Go ahead and take them out. So I mean, they're not even going to be fair across the board. They're going to have different judgments, whatever they can do to try to stop the Democrats from doing what they were doing. But they believe, because they're drawing their maps by who the person voted for last time during Trump. So they're trying to make it as red as possible by putting in people who voted for Trump last time. You're not supposed to be able to use race, but they'll just use Democrat, those who voted Democrat, which is mostly minorities, to draw their districts, while the Supreme Court tells us that that's supposed to be illegal. It's all just bullshit, man. But man, it's crazy that Virginia came to this. I don't know if the fight is over, if they'll raise it to the Supreme Court, because that was the Virginia Supreme Court, and they said it was against their constitution. So we'll see what happens, man. But right now, it looks like the plan that the people voted for is going to get overrun by Republicans.
Right. That's what it's looking like at this point. But, anywho, the State Department also says that the U.S. passports can now be revoked for parents who owe a significant child support payment. Officials say the policy is designed to pressure delinquent parents into paying what they actually owe. But critics are arguing that the move could limit people's ability to travel for work or family emergencies. The federal government already has had authority to deny new passports over unpaid child support, but this latest enforcement could impact existing passport holders as well. From what I was reading and learning, right now they're targeting parents who make over $100,000, right? But they plan to expand this program to include parents who owe more than $2,500.
Like I said to you the other day when we were discussing this, they need to put the 50-50 rule in across the country federally. And I think that'll kill a lot of this shit about money, because it's the onus from the beginning should be on the man to have to see the child half the time, instead of automatically the woman getting, then it's automatically child support for the man. Those things could be killed with half the time with one parent, half the time with the other when the situation comes down. And these things just compound the issues. Is it going to make men pay? Is it going to make men show up when the relationship probably was a one night stand and the man just moved on with his life or whatever? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to make anybody do anything or change or move the needle on this problem at all. But
yeah, I get it.
Whatever.
I mean, I get it. It was like I was asking you the other day too when we were discussing this. Like, is it going to be a case where, say that they do implement the 50-50 across the board with child support? So now do both parents need to pay child support and have half the time with the child as well? Or what if one parent lives in another state? Like you were saying, like, it's a lot of different factors that could play into that, right?
Yeah, but the having the onus that it's on both parents will make people not feel as though that they automatically get money. You have to go to court and work those things out. But the way the courts were set up is that the woman automatically gets the kid, the money, everything. And that's the way the courts were sided. In states, it's a couple states that have picked up the 50-50, and they've seen a drop in some of these issues. And that's all I'm saying. I don't know for sure if that'll fix everything, but it seems that would be the fairer way to go, instead of just giving everything onto the woman and she gets the money automatically. The man has to pay automatically. She gets the kid automatically. You know, if the dude doesn't show up and he doesn't come in and he doesn't do anything, but he's proven to be the father, then yeah, man, hit him for child support. Especially if he's not doing anything, he's not showing up, he's not doing what he's supposed to, then yeah. But if the dude is showing up, taking the kid, why should he have to pay child support if he has the kid half the time or part of the time? You know, that these things has to be fair for the man, because the way things are, it's against the guys pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And they lose in these situations in most cases when it comes to the judgments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Lastly, the United States Postal Service is reportedly considering changes that would allow people to ship handguns through the mail. Current federal restrictions generally prohibit most handgun shipments through USPS for non licensed individuals. But supporters for the proposal say that it could modernize outdated mailing rules, while opponents warn that it may create new public safety concerns and increase risks involving firearm trafficking.
It's pretty scary that these dumb fucks who see the consequences of loosened gun laws. We have kids, their number one death, I think, it was guns.
Mm-hmm.
For kids, like young kids, toddlers, because they're getting out their hands on so many guns. Now we think it's smart to mail them all across the country. People steal mail all the time. Now people really going to be trying to steal mail to try to see if they can fucking get a gun. Like, dog, oh my goodness, man. I like I say all the time, man. The Americans, man. I mean, I understand we love freedom, we love guns, but dude, we have to make intelligent decisions when it comes to these guns. They are dangerous weapons. I think we should understand that by now. I know it's, oh my goodness, man. Mailing guns is not a good idea.
No, it's not.
It's a bad idea. And anyway, you're supposed to have state laws are different between every state when it comes to guns. So that's the other issue you're going to face on that. How can you mail a gun from one place if the laws are differently in that state than it is from another state? So I don't know, man. I don't think it's a good idea the Trump administration does, but I think that this is a slippery slope. But, you know, I've watched as we've loosened and loosened and loosened the gun laws.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see the consequences of little kids are dying from guns daily. We gun violence. Police are shooting people at epic rates because they're scared that they have a gun.
Right.
So it doesn't seem to be working out. But the NRA and all the gun-toting friends are happy. So I don't know.
I mean, you know, they're just trying to update a law that already allows the USPS to mail certain types of guns. As it stands today, they are allowed to ship long-barreled rifles and shotguns through the mail, but they have to be unloaded weapons when they're shipped.
Duh.
So now they're trying to include other types of weapons in that shipping, and I just don't think that it's a good idea at all.
No. You can't get the fucking gun locally. You don't need the damn thing. Like, why can't you just get it locally? It's dumb. Why do you need to order a gun from Sears when there's a local Sears? I don't understand. That's stupid. It's dumb as fuck. It's just dumb. It's dumb. Stupid. But yeah, hopefully we figure out that that's dumb. But with this administration, they'll probably put it in place tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they're goofy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next, man, we're going to get into thank you. Right on, Iesha. Appreciate you. But next, we're going to talk more about America's most gerrymandered states, voting rights, and the new fight over black political power. that's happening across the South. You know, the Confederate states that try to scream and holler that the Democrats were the ones that created the KKK, as they carve out the Civil Rights Act. We also have the judges from the Supreme Court not really liking how they are being framed right now, how people are talking about them as they pretty much are a wing of the right party, of the right, right now. And they're pretty much a part of the Republican Party, doing everything that the Republican Party wants. The judgments that they've made to get rid of abortion, to get rid of the Civil Rights Act, to get rid of affirmative action. They are making decisions as if we are in a post-racial America, and the South is a fair place. And I saw a person talk about segregation like it was black people's fault that we were segregated. I mean, we've heard of redlining. We know how it is. We know the way the system was set up. But we'll sit here and talk about segregation like it's black people's fault that we have segregation. But we know that America is very, very, very segregated. It's a very segregated country. There's black areas, there's white areas, there's Asian areas. That's the way this country. There's Hispanic and Spanish areas, Mexican areas, Puerto Rican.
Right.
So that's the way it's set up, and we all know that. And Civil Rights Act was put in place to help those areas that are predominantly black or predominantly Mexican or predominantly Puerto Rican to get representation in the government. And what they've done now is to try to destroy that, because they're saying that race shouldn't be a way of carving the maps. But the problem is that if you have a predominantly black area, how are you going to be able to, carve out them? And that's what they're going to do. They're going to carve them out so they don't have any representation. So then you say, oh, you guys don't deserve representation. We can carve it out to where we're diluting your voting power and taking out you guys taking out the ability for you guys to be able to vote in people that look like you. And that's what they want to do. The majority, they want all the power. They don't want to give any power to the black people. And the South has, ever since Reconstruction, this is what they've been on. And this is what they've been doing since the Civil War. They love to talk about, oh, the Democrats are the racists, but the policy shows that the South has lived in the 1700s forever, and they won't leave them. They won't leave. They believe in this shit. They believe in this. They believe in segregation. They believe in everything. They had white only water fountains and bathrooms and all type shit, man. And they love it. They wanted segregation. They fought for that in the 70s. They just stopped in the 80s. They start using code words with Reagan and coded language. That's when they start switching up. They didn't want to be known as racists anymore. So they switched it up, start using coded words and coded language and trying to hide what they were. And that's been the way they've moved since the 80s. But now they're sick of it. They feel as though the immigrants and the blacks are taking over their country. And so they're coming out and they're doing a lot more to move the needle when it comes to these racial issues of having representation for a black neighborhood or a black city. And they're doing everything they can to take that away. So, I mean, it's an ugly time right now, man. And as they scream and holler that they're not racist and racism has nothing to do with it, every decision is made is saying that race isn't an issue anymore.
Right.
And we're talking about gerrymandering, and not just the funny looking districts people laugh at on the map. We're talking about political power. We're talking about who gets represented, who gets their votes diluted, and why these fights are exploding again in 2026. Mm-hmm. Because when people ask, what are the most gerrymandered states? The answer depends on what you're measuring. And we are we talking about partisan bias? where one party wins a share of seats far larger than its share of voters. And that is something that the Republican Party has mastered over the last 50 years. Are we talking about racial vote dilution, where black voters or other communities of color are packed into one district or cracked across several districts so their influence is weakened? And that's what they're going to do now. They're just going to weaken everything to make sure that the power of the black people in those areas, who make up usually 30% of the demographic, they will not be able to vote in people that look like them or people that care about or from their neighborhood. Then they'll laugh at them while they fall behind in education and their neighborhoods look like shit and the crime is rampant, as they get no funds, they get no grants, they get nothing to help their community. And then they'll sit there and laugh. Look at the blacks. Look at them. Them schools get no money. Well, your land isn't worth anything, so you don't get any good taxes for that. So your schools are trash. So I mean, this is where we are headed, and this is where, I mean, we've always been there, but we're heading there again to the worst degree. We're talking about the compactness, those bizarre snake-like districts that look like somebody spilled spaghetti on a map. Are we talking about that? By any of those measures, some states keep coming up. North Carolina, Texas, Illinois, Maryland, Utah, Ohio, Tennessee, and now Louisiana is right in the center of the national conversation. And this week, Tennessee pushed the issue right back into the headlines. Lawmakers approved the new congressional map that carves up the Memphis-centered majority black district, potentially giving Republicans the path to all 9 congressional seats in Tennessee. PBS and Reuters both reported that the map splits Shelby County and has already triggered legal challenges and protests. Now, we already know that whatever legal challenges it face, it will lose, because the power right now is the Republicans have all the power on every level. And they're going to, whatever black people try to, the Memphis is a majority black city, but you're telling this city that they can't have representation. We're going to carve your city up because, you can't make decisions by black. The whole city is pretty much black. So, I mean, what are you going to do? They're going to carve it up, put it in different districts, do things where they can dilute the group, the vote, so they can't have any power. Think the city is bad now. You people talk shit about Memphis, but where will it be headed when you have people who don't live there, don't care about there, in charge? We see that the Supreme Court used misleading data to make its ruling against Louisiana. Misleading data claim. The claim that it's been the data that they use, especially when it came to Justice Samuel Alito and his majority opinion, which one asserted that racial disparities in voting are no longer a significant problem, citing data suggesting black voters and white voters turnout reached parity in 2 of the 5 most recent presidential elections. I don't know why that data was used to make a decision like this about racism in the South. I don't know how they can forget the history and everything that has happened in the South. But they're going to use, hey, well, black people are turning up the vote, so that means racism isn't there anymore. Now, as we critique that data, a review by The Guardian indicates that this assertion relied on unusual methodology, calculating turnout as a proportion of total population over 18 rather than the citizen voting age population, which experts prefer. Alternative findings found, when analyzed using the standard widely accepted approach, citizen voting age population data show that black voter turnout has not reached parity with white voters. Turnout in the most recent election, and that turnout gap is actually widening, not closing. Chief Justice John Roberts addressed the Judicial Conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania on Wednesday and grumbled about the public's purported failure to appreciate how impartial the Supreme Court is. Yeah, right. I think the view as of us truly political actors, said Roberts, which I don't think is an accurate understanding of what we do, he said. He lamented the perception that the justices are making policy decisions based on their personal views about how things should be, and as opposed to what the lawmakers provides. I don't believe him at all. I just don't believe nothing this dude says. They're all following the playbook. These Supreme Court guys, man, they're 100% sold out. They're bought and paid for by the Republican Party.
You're absolutely right. And this is why we have to be careful when people say, well, both parties gerrymander. Yeah, you're right. Partisan gerrymandering happens on both sides. That is true. In Illinois and Maryland have both cited as Democratic examples. Texas, North Carolina, Ohio, Tennessee, Utah, and Wisconsin have all been cited as Republican examples. But when gerrymandering intersects with race, especially in the South, we're not just talking about political gamesmanship here. We're talking about a long American history of voter suppression being updated with modern era language.
Mm-hmm.
The old tools were poll taxes and literacy tests, intimidation, and constitutional schemes designed to keep Black people from voting. The new tools are often maps and lawsuits, emergency sessions, and legal arguments that make it harder to protect the majority minority districts in these states. And that's why the Supreme Court's April 29th ruling in Louisiana versus Callais matters. The court struck down Louisiana's congressional map that included a second majority Black district. And voting rights groups say that that ruling weakens Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Which isn't surprising. We all know that the Republicans have hated the Civil Rights Act since day one. They do not want Black representation. They do not want Black people to have any power. And it's not like they have much power anyway. You know, they love to scream how Democrats have destroyed a city within the state boundaries of a Republican led state. The city officials have to rely on the budgets from the Republicans. City officials have to worry that they have to get grants and money and dollars from the states. The curriculum for the schools are set by the state. Everything. The state has all the power. The state Congress sets the budgets. The state Senate, which is Republican led in Tennessee, governor, Republican in Tennessee. But, you know, it's the mayor's fault. The mayor is supposed to make the city better. He's supposed to take away all the crime, even though they're not giving them any funding for their policing, even though they're not giving them any funding for their schools. You know, it's crazy. And that's the way they love to say. And the crime in Republican states are the worst. But they love talking about Illinois and California when their states are the worst. And we can go and read the numbers. Horrible, horrible places because they don't believe in investing in their people. They believe in leaving people behind. That's the way they govern. Fuck my neighbor. But go to church and act like I'm a Christian and act like I care. You know, they love to talk about the Black cities and the crime, but they don't want to help anybody. They just want to point it out to prove that Blacks are and whites are superior to the Black people. For they can go around and prove to themselves that they're better than someone. It's not about helping. It's not about doing the Christian thing to try to make the places better, to make sure everyone has a fair break. That's not the mission. The mission is to take as much as possible, shit on the community as much as possible, make it as hard as for everyone they can for the people to survive, afford bread, and then laugh at them and point at them and talk about how bad the areas are. That's the mission of the Republican Party. And when we break down the top offenders by category, when we talking about gerrymandering, North Carolina is often one of the clearest examples of partisan gerrymandering. The North Carolina is the worst in the country.
Mm-hmm.
This is a state that can vote close to 50-50 statewide. A very, very split country. I mean, state. You would say it's a purple state. But since Republicans have so much power in the state, the congressional map can still produce a heavy Republican advantage. Texas is another major example. Analysts have long pointed to Texas as one of the most aggressive examples of map manipulation because the seat share can be far more Republican than statewide vote share would suggest. And we'll call out a Democratic state, Illinois. Example point. The map helped create a 14-3 Democratic congressional advantage by eliminating weakening Republican leaning seats. Wisconsin has also been central to this conversation because statewide elections can be extremely close while legislative maps historically produced a much stronger Republican advantage. Now, 3 out of the 4 states that we have said are Republicans. They have the entire South, and they've had the South since the 50s or 60s. No Democrat has won a Republican state. I mean, Democrat has not won a state down there in 50 something years. One state. Not one state. How do Republicans suck at Jerry? I get you, Hannibal. They suck at governing. You're right. It's about race for sure. That's why I can't get a job at Whataburger. If you can't get a job at Whataburger and you think it's your race, you need to look in the mirror, my brother. Well, Whataburger trying to hire anybody that could do the job. And if you can't get a job at Whataburger, you definitely need to look inside. Because
Right.
it's you. It is you, baby. But yeah, man. We see it that it's produced a much stronger Republican advantage, man, in these states. Maryland has been famously for oddly shaped Democratic gerrymanders, especially districts designed to crack Republican voters. So Maryland is another one. Maryland and Illinois, the 2 Democratic states. So this is not a partisan issue. You know, this is something that is very bipartisan. But the Republicans seem to have a stronger hold when it comes to gerrymandering. And like I've said before, the Democrats have brought bills forth to get rid of gerrymandering and just make the districts boom. But Republicans has turned it down. So then let's look at another Republican state. You got Utah, where Salt Lake County, the state's Democratic stronghold, has split across multiple districts. They split it up to make sure the Democrats have no power in Utah. So I mean, this is a issue, man. This is a problem. And the Supreme Court, instead of really fixing the issue, they just compounded it and made it even worse. They gave more power to the Republicans to draw maps the way they want to do it, whatever they want. And it's already an issue where it's taking out power in these states. State after state. Like I said, man, I know I named a lot of Republican states, but we know Illinois and Maryland are 2 Democrat states that's doing it too. But Tennessee split Nashville in earlier maps. Now Memphis is in the flashpoint because of the Supreme Court and their partisan ideas. Ohio has repeatedly been criticized for non-competitive maps and oddly drawn districts. So when we say most gerrymandered, there is no single scoreboard. The Princeton Gerrymandering Project grades maps on fairness and competitiveness, while the Brennan Center tracks litigation and redistricting abuses nationwide.
Yep.
We see no clear winner, but it's a clear winner with Republicans.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But the deeper story is this: gerrymandering is not just about ugly lines, it's about the actual outcomes. If a state is 50-50 politically, but one party gets 70
I said
to
Illinois is bad.
75% of the seats, that's kind of a distortion, right? If a city is majority black, but the map splits that city into three districts controlled by whiter rural or suburban areas, that's not just a shape problem. That's a problem of power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Memphis matters here. Because critics saw that the new Memphis map breaks apart black voting power in a city with deep civil rights history. Reuters even reported that the Tennessee NAACP has challenged the map, while Republican lawmakers defended the plan as partisan rather than racial. And that distinction, partisan versus racial, is exactly where these cases now live. Because the Supreme Court has said time and time again, federal courts cannot police partisan gerrymandering in the same way. So the states can say that we did this for party advantage, not just because of race. But in the South, party and race often overlap in many cases because black voters have historically supported Democrats at higher rates, which creates a legal loophole big enough to drive a whole congressional map right through their district.
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't Chicago try vote? Have you seen the numbers of red states? Illinois education is like 17th. Their crime is better than red states. The education is way better when you look at the education of the red states, they're in the lower 40s across the South. Crime is worse in red states. I know you all love to talk about Chicago. Chicago is huge though, and its economy is like one of the biggest in the world. And they are a donor state. They give more money than they take. Republican states take more money than they give. You all are always talking about other states and cities when your cities and states are ass. Like the worst in the country across the board in everything. They're poor. They are the lowest in education, the lowest in crime.
Red states are definitely a lot poorer than blue states.
You can say Democrats have done nothing to help blacks out, but Republicans have done everything they can to take us back to the days of slavery, the days of pre-Civil Rights Act. They've done everything to make it harder for us. You can say that Democrats have done nothing, and I can agree. Democrats haven't done everything because they do a lot of fucked up shit in Illinois that is bad. When it comes to these small towns that are black and these areas that are black, they do nothing. And it doesn't change if it's a Democrat, but at least they're not trying to put back the days of segregation, because that's what the people in the South want. Like we weighing it, we looking at it, the scales, and we're like, man, we got one group over here hollering DEI. That's the only reason you got your job is DEI. You guys don't deserve your job. Just DEI is how you got them. You don't have any. You're not smart enough to fly a plane. That's what they're saying on the right, while looking at us, telling us that the racism is over there, while they telling us we're not good enough to even do a job. Like they're ridiculous. The things that they speak and say is the most dumb shit ever. Like, you think you can shit in my face and then tell me that it's the other side that's shitting on my face? Like, we see you shitting. We see it. We see y'all fighting to get the names of the army bases back to Confederates. Y'all clapping while these things are happening as black people are getting fired in the Trump administration. We see you clapping as he brings in only white people from South Africa. We understand, man. We're not stupid. Then you try to play the games like, oh, look, it's the other side that's racist. As you do all the racist moves you can. They're taking down anything that they can take down that's black. They taking it down. then you got to go to the courts and sue to get them to put it back up. I mean, it's insane. And then they call you, you're on the plantation. No, we're avoiding the plantation. That's you motherfuckers who love flying the Confederate flags and talking about how bad and violent black people are. You're 13% of the population and blah, 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 whatever the fuck y'all love to say. All y'all do is shit on us. And the people that y'all love that are black shit on the black community with y'all, and y'all love it. You love to talk bad about black people to make you feel better about yourself and your trailer park. But let's connect this shit to history, man. After Reconstruction, Southern states did not just accept black political power, they fought it. They rioted. They hung people. They burned people. They used the KKK, hate groups. They did everything in their power to make sure that black people didn't vote. So in the time after Reconstruction, that the Republicans love to talk about how after Reconstruction, how many black people were voted in that were Republican. They love talking about it. But they don't like talking about how the South did everything in their fucking power to make sure that that never happened again. All of the violence that they use, the intimidation that they use. They used literacy tests when they knew that most black people couldn't fucking read. They were just coming out of slavery. What about the Southern Poverty Law Center? Does it make you guys feel good that the Southern Poverty Law Center, that y'all think that they were paying the hate groups? It makes you feel good? If it's true, it only backs what black people have been saying forever, that this is a system that's set up to make us fail. And while you guys,
racism exists,
and you guys sitting around talking about there's no racism and we're in a post-racist country, they're paying the racists. Is that if you guys are saying it? They're making the racists and giving them money. You tell us there's no racist groups, but the Southern Poverty Law Center looks like they're paying them and giving them money for they can have power to fuck with black people. Is that's what y'all are saying, right? So if they're doing that, that means that there's a systemic racism issue in this country, right, Brad?
Which they say doesn't exist.
And you said there's no such thing as a systemic issue in this country. I mean, Southern Poverty Law Center was giving data to the FBI. And they are a nonpartisan group. They are not Democrats. They are a nonpartisan group. It's crazy how y'all try to connect them to the Democrats. But they're nonpartisan. They can't pick either side. It's just like the military. But if you guys are saying that racism doesn't exist, but you're also hollering that the Southern Poverty Law Center is doing all these things about racism, you're talking out of the side, both sides of your neck. Because it sounds like it's the government that's creating racism and giving money to racist groups. So that bolsters our argument from the day one that it's this fucking racist ass country and all these racist ass systems that are put in place to make sure that we fail. So if y'all believe that the SPLC are doing these things, welcome to our side. You with us now? You believe in systemic racism now? I'm happy to see you with us. Are you going to start fighting for black issues now? Are you going to start standing with us since you see that the Southern Poverty Law Center are paying people? How are they Democrats? They're nonpartisan. But if you say they're Democrats, okay, the Democrats are paying for racism. So that means the Democratic Party is paying to make sure everybody is racist. They're paying racist groups to make sure that they exist. So they still exist. So now we got the Democratic Party and the Republican Party against black people is what you're saying, right? SPLC isn't a government organization. No, but they give information to government like the FBI. They take a lot of information from the SPLC. They've been doing it for decades. All of their hate crime and hate data, hate group data comes from them. They use that data to arrest people, to go after people who they're not going to go after. That data comes from them. They work with the government. So if you're saying that this is happening, then the government is using racism against black people. Something y'all said doesn't happen, right? I mean, that's what y'all been hollering. I mean, the Supreme Court just said we're in a post-racial country. But we got the SPLC who works with the government, is pretty much a government entity, doing these things, and now you guys are seeing it. You finally see the racism out there. You finally see the systemic race problems that we have. So what you going to do about it? Asians aren't discriminated, man. They just can't get into every school that they want. Some people get turned down. They're not discriminated against. They're the richest demographic in the country, Asians. So how the fuck is the discrimination hurting them when they're the richest group in this country? When you look at the demographics, Asians are number one when it comes to how much money they make. It's not hurting them. So it's crazy that y'all love to use them because one dude couldn't get into Harvard and killed the whole affirmative action law because he couldn't get into the one college he wanted. He couldn't get into any other Ivy League school. That happens. Sometimes you can't get into Harvard, so you go to Princeton. It happens. But, you know, he is privileged. I'm supposed to get whatever school I pick. A lot of people get turned down from schools. Most people think that's normal. Most people like, hey, that's normal. I got turned down from a school. I'll get the next one. But him, oh, no, I didn't get what I wanted. I'm going to destroy it for everybody because I didn't get the school I wanted. Ridiculous. But the South, they use literacy tests, man. They use poll taxes. They use grandfather clauses. They use constitutional conventions. They did everything in their power to make sure that black people can't vote. Louisiana in 1898, this constitution is one of the most brutal examples of black registration reportedly collapsing from about 130,000 black voters to fewer than 2,000 by 1904, as they plan that they put in place worked excellently. It went from 130,000 black people voting down to 2,000 by 1904.
Damn shame.
That was not on accident. We know that what the South does, that was the policy. That's what they put in place to make sure that black people do not have any power over the areas that they live in. So when we see modern maps that weaken black power, people are not being dramatic when they connect it to a history of fucking racism. It's a pattern that we've had in America, and especially in the South, 400 years or more since we've been free as people. The tools they've changed. The goal is the same. Control who has political power.
Yep. And this is where the Voting Rights Act comes in. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act was supposed to stop these specific tactics that they were using. And Section 2 was designed to protect the voters from racial discrimination and vote dilution. But over the last decade alone, the Supreme Court has narrowed key parts of the voting rights enforcement. The Brennan Center says that the Louisiana versus Callais ruling substantially rewrote Section 2 and undermined protections against race discrimination. And while civil rights groups like the ACLU and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund say that the ruling opens the door for states to eliminate districts that allowed black voters and other voters of color to elect candidates of their choice, that does not mean that every majority-minority district is automatically constitutional. But it does mean that the legal path to protecting the black political representation just got that much harder.
Yeah, man, it's pretty sad. And you know, you have people in the comment section acting like, you know, it's fair what they're doing. You stand with the South all you want to. The South has been on the wrong side of history for as long as we've been keeping history. You can stand with the Confederates. That's fine with me. We've been fighting races forever. And it's a fight that we'll keep fighting. It won't stop. But you say LBJ LBJ was a racist. He was a Dixie Democrat. But what he did was listen to Kennedy and the things that Kennedy wanted to put in place. And he said, it's bigger than me. I'm going to do these things because it's the best things for the country. Yeah, he was racist as fuck. All those Dixie Democrats from the South was racist. But that's what the South has been about forever. That's what they've been about. The South has been a piece of shit part of this country for as long as this country has been established. We had to go to war with these people for these people to see the right way and the error of their ways. War. People had to die. The most people we've ever had die in a war because we were killing each other over stupid shit that we could have just decided to go ahead and make this shit illegal. But a certain group who still are a problem to this day didn't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And they still talking about there is no party switch. Fucking idiots. Who does the South vote for today and who did they vote for yesterday? They used to be called the Dixie Democrats. Now they're Republican red. Why do you keep saying there's no switch when the South does not vote the way they used to vote? Like, it's so dumb for you dumb fucks to keep saying this shit. Like, it's really stupid, man. Like, all of y'all are retarded. Straight up. You gotta be. The South used to be the Dixie Democrats. They are not anymore. Now, if you don't understand that, there's no reason for us to have the conversation.
Right.
But the big picture, man, that we're seeing this Saturday morning, gerrymandering is not one thing. It is partisan. It is racial. It is mathematical. It is historical. And it's very current. Nobody switched. You're right. The South is still voting for Democrats right now. That's what happens. The North votes for Republicans. You're right. That's the way it happens. The North vote Republican and the South votes Dixie Democrats. The Democrats are still the Dixie Democrats. The switch never happened. Dixie Democrats, the South, they don't vote. They vote Democrats still. 50 years, Democrats have had power in the South. That is what you're telling me. Like, what the fuck, dog? You can't be this fucking dumb. Fuck. North Carolina shows how closely divided states can be mapped into lopsided delegation. North Carolina is horrible. Texas is horrible. It shows how maps aggressively drawn can lock in power. Illinois, a Democrat state, they do it also when they control the process. Wisconsin, another Republican stronghold. They show how state legislative maps can shape power for years. Maryland, another Democrat state, shows how bizarre geographic maps can be used for partisan goals. Then we look at another Republican state, Utah. Shows what happens when a blue urban area is cracked apart. Tennessee now shows what happens when a black political center like Memphis is divided to take the power, to make sure that black people cannot do anything to fix the issues that they have, the problems that they face. We'll have outsiders who gives a fuck about Memphis. Memphis is already struggling. Already a struggling place. But let's carve them up and make sure they don't get any state dollars or any grants or anything to make the city better. Don't make the schooling better. Don't do anything. Let's just watch it fail. Tear it up and do what we can for power. The country isn't divided. Yes, the country is divided in north-south. It'll never not be divided into north-south. The South has always been one way. They used to be all Democrats. Now they're all Republicans. The whole South. So to say it's not divided when most of the northern states are Democratic, the country is still divided politically. It's ridiculous to say anything different. But Louisiana, man, shows how the courts are now reshaping the future of the Voters' Rights Act by tearing it apart, man. And we're going to see the consequences of that decision.
You're absolutely right. And for our audience, the question here is not just which state is the worst at gerrymandering. The better question is who benefits from these new redrawn maps? Who loses the power? And are communities being kept whole? Do the voters get to choose their own representatives, or do the representatives basically choose who they want to be their voters?
Mm-hmm.
Because democracy isn't just about having fair elections, it's about whether or not those elections are actually fair enough for the people's votes to actually matter. And when black voters are packed, cracked, or split, diluted, and then told that it's just politics, we have to remember America has used "it's just politics" as a cover before,
right,
for racism, for gerrymandering, so that way the Republicans can have all of the power.
Yes, the electoral maps are divided north and south. Like I just said, the entire South is Republican. From east to west, from Texas all the way to the fucking Florida, it's Republican. Well, what else do I need to say? It's very divided when one part of the country is all one side, is all Republican. There are some northern states, so if you would go across that line, Missouri and Ohio, that go back and forth. But mostly the North is Democratic states, and the South are all the Republican states. So as we watch these redistricting battles in Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, all across the fucking South, they're going to be taken away from black voting and beyond. We need to keep our eyes on this map, man, but also on the history behind the map. Because the lines may look new, but the fight over black political power is very old. And that's the conversation we're having this Saturday morning on Habari Live. Yeah, man, it's red in the middle and blue on the coast. I agree on that because it's a lot of rural areas, but not all the middle states. Because if you go in the north, you have Minnesota, you have states that are blue that are across the north. Just because you have the Dakotas that are red, but these are places that are very small and it don't hold much power in the when it comes to the political playground. Dakotas, they can't send many congressmen because the demographics, the population is very low. So those states aren't thought about like that because there's not many people there. But anyway, we'll keep it going, man. Here, man, we're going to talk about the war and what's been going on this week with the war, man. Trump said the war was cooling down. Now the Strait of Hormuz is exploding again. There was some shootouts yesterday with a couple boats between America and Iran. They keep saying that it's over. Everybody's all over the place. Nobody knows exactly where we stand when it comes to this fucking war, man. Minnesota is 75% red. Why is it a blue state? That makes no sense, dog. So we're looking at the international stories now and how it's threatened the global economy, oil prices, shipping lanes, and America's credibility overseas because Trump is losing on all fronts. Because after the weeks of Donald Trump telling the public the Iran situation was under control, he seems to lose more control daily. This thing has just escalated again in a major way as we're having shootouts on the waterways. No boats are getting through. So nothing that Trump promised was going to happen is happening. And honestly, politically, Trump looks really dumb. He looks foolish right now. on the world stage. Foolish. The administration spent days signaling that the ceasefire was holding, that diplomacy was working, that Iran was close to a peace framework, and then suddenly the Strait of Hormuz turned into a war zone again. I just don't think Iran likes Trump very much. And we see the deal that Trump is trying to put in place, and it's the exact fucking deal that Obama had, that he ripped up, that he told you idiots was bad.
Right.
Now he's trying to get the exact same deal back in place. Never should have ripped up the first deal. But when you're a fucking idiot and all you do and all you run on is hating on the prior president, because hate is the only thing that you care about, not the country, not the better answer, just hate. This week alone, we've seen U.S. destroyers attacked, retaliatory airstrikes, missiles interceptors over the Gulf, oil tankers disabled, and fears that the entire ceasefire might fucking collapse because of Donald Trump and his horrible negotiations towards peace. This ain't peace, man. This is barely controlled escalation. This is two toddlers running around crying about what they want. And the scary part is that the Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important waterways on Earth. Roughly a fifth of the world's oil passes through this fucking region. And Donald Trump has figured out a way to fuck this up for everyone. Anybody that's sitting around saying that this is good and the direction the country is good, while we're hurting every other country in the world because they can't get oil from this strait. So when missiles start flying there, the entire global economy pays attention to the bad decisions that our president has made.
Yep.
And Donald Trump froze way more money, right? $20 billion. And they ain't saying nothing about that. But they love bringing up the money that Obama
the
$1.7
billion that Obama unfroze.
Right. But they ain't saying a word about the $20 billion that Trump gives them. Ridiculous.
Yep. And that's what makes this look even worse politically for Trump because of his messaging. One minute, his administration is saying that everything is stable. And the next minute, CENTCOM is announcing self-defense strikes against inside Iran, and American destroyers are targeting by missiles, drones, and fast attack boats in the Strait of Hormuz. But Reuters, Axios, PBS, CBS, and multiple additional international outlets have all reported on the exchange of fire involving the USS Truxtun, the USS Mason, and the USS Rafael Peralta. And according to CENTCOM, American forces have responded by striking Iranian military targets connected to those attacks. So people are sitting there asking, well, wait a minute. If the ceasefire is supposedly still active, then why are American warships and Iranian forces exchanging fire in one of the most sensitive regions on the planet?
Just looking silly, man.
Just dumb.
Trump is looking silly. Like everything that this guy touches turns to mess. I mean, it is straight turning to poo-poo, to caca. It's trash. Like that, how you are governing, how you are negotiating, is horrid. You're not putting anything toward that's helping this situation. And every time you talk to the media, you come out, you trash the Iranian people. The negotiations go further south. You're not helping yourself. You're going to have to grow up, act like a fucking adult for once. Pull up your diapers, pull up the Depends, and go make a fucking deal. And we know it's going to be the same deal that we already had in place with Obama. It'll probably be worse because he's a horrible negotiator. And we did all of that hard work to bring them to the table under Obama, and everybody cried and acted a fool because they didn't want any leadership from a black guy. But you see the outcome. when you use vitriol and hate to make your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You see how it comes. You see what happens. You see it. Trump comes out. He tries to downplay the war, act like everything is good. He talks like gas prices are back to normal. It's no problem. Nothing to see here. But reports say he described the confrontation almost like it was some minor incident, basically saying the ceasefire still stands and warning Iran to hurry up and accept the final agreement. But the visuals tell a different story. We see something different. And now we have confirmed the U.S. military action against Iranian tankers fighting in the Strait as we're supposed to have a ceasefire. On May 8th, CENTCOM announced that American forces disabled 2 Iranian flag vessels, the M/TC Star 30 and the M/T Sevda. They were allegedly attempted to bypass the U.S. blockade. According to a military reporting, U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornets fired precision strikes into the smokestacks of the tankers to disable them before they could reach Iranian ports. That is not symbolic tension. That is active military confrontation that is going down.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem like the ceasefire is working out.
Yep. And Iran is accusing the U.S. of violating that ceasefire first. Iranian state media claimed that their forces launched missiles at U.S. naval vessels after American strikes on Iranian ships and coastal targets. And now the U.S. officials are saying that the attacks were defensive and that no American ships were hit. But the larger issue here is that this conflict keeps moving closer and closer toward a full regional explosion. The UAE reportedly intercepted ballistic missiles and drones this week alone. And oil facilities in the Gulf region are under pressure, while shipping traffic through the Hormuz is collapsing compared to normal levels. And then once the shipping slows down there, the gas prices are going to go up again. Gas prices, food prices, manufacturing costs. Let's not think about the airline costs when summer vacation is coming up for a lot of Americans who have school-age children.
Mm-hmm.
Consumer goods, all of that affects the people that are sitting in Phoenix, Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, everywhere, New York. It doesn't matter. Everyone is affected.
That's real. That's real, man. That is real, man. This is. I mean, Trump can shrug it off as no big deal, and its head self can say that it's okay and it's worth it. The price increase, but he doesn't understand the balance of the economy of America, and we've seen it because we all lived through COVID, and when the prices of gas went up, all of the prices of all the other goods went up, because when it costs more to get the goods in, then the goods have to come up because they are spending more to get the goods to you. Then those things happen. That hurts your pockets. We're already seeing the bills go up when it comes to electricity because of the data centers that are popping up across our country.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to pay for their own fucking energy. They want to make the APSs and the power companies of the world update their hardware to be able to take all the power that they're going to be using daily. And who's it hurt? The little guy. All the people that get hurt is us.
Right.
As the millionaires and billionaires reap all the benefits. And we sit around and fight over bull instead of coming together as the people and trying to make sure that the rich pay their fair share of taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So we can have schooling. We can have the ability maybe that a one job can get you a house again in this country.
Right.
One person in the house used to be able to work and get a home. That's not something that we are able to do anymore in America. Our wages are off-centered. The cost of housing is way above means. And we're sitting around fighting over who, what bathrooms, and who are freaky, and just putting racism back in place instead of leading the correct way. And politically, this is where Trump's image is taking a damage because of the things that he's doing that's hurting the country and the economy as a whole. How is Trump keeping gas prices higher than Biden when Biden had nothing to do with the gas prices, bro? We had production issues because of COVID under Biden. I understand that it was his presidency, so it's his fault. But he didn't do anything to make gas higher. I know
Trump
y'all like to
started a
say
war that
the
made gas
fucking
prices higher.
Keystone pipeline, but the pipeline was never used or ever put into effect. So how can something that never existed hurt the prices of gas and the future prices of gas? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The pipeline had nothing to do with gas prices. We had production issues. It was a world problem. Gas is a global issue. And right now, Trump is causing a global problem, which is hurting the global gas price. You could try to make whatever excuses you want, but we know the truth. Trump campaigned for years on the idea that he would avoid endless wars. He said he would do everything he can to how is Ukraine Biden's fault? Russia attacked them. He constantly criticized Bush era interventionism. He mocked nation building. He said America would stop being dragged into expensive wars. He lied. Like always, it's all the dude do is lie. And y'all just keep falling for it, drinking the Kool-Aid. But now the U.S. directly exchanging fire with Iran in the Strait of Hormuz while simultaneously enforcing a naval blockade and conducting military strikes. It's not headed the right direction. It's a massive contradiction of what Trump said he was going to be about.
Yep.
He said he was going to get us out of this. Week after week, it keeps dragging on. Dragging. And even parts of Trump's own base are starting to crack. Many of the people that the podcast bros are starting to turn against him. When you got Alex Jones and all these people turning their backs, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, they're all turning their backs on Trump. But the crazy Kool-Aid drinkers are still with him, man. You've got conservative commentators. They're questioning whether this administration is sleepwalking into a major Middle East conflict because they don't know what they're doing. You got libertarian conservatives angry about this escalation in Iran and how things are headed. And you got the Trump trying to balance two messages at once as he talks out the side of both sides of his neck, saying that we're in control and we might hit Iran even harder if they don't agree to a deal, but he never falls through. He tacos every time. Those messages do not fit together cleanly. It's not looking right, and people can see right through him that he's weak.
Yep. And another major problem is credibility. If Trump says that the ceasefire is working, but the world sees missiles, drones, naval attacks, retaliatory strikes, and oil tankers being disabled on live television, people stop believing the messaging. And that's where the real danger is. Because global markets react to instability faster than they do politicians. Oil already jumped above $100 a barrel during the latest escalation this week, and shipping insurers are panicking. Commercial traffic through Hormuz has slowed drastically, and international allies are getting nervous because the United States and Iran are basically operating in a gray area between ceasefire and active war zone. And that's one of the most dangerous places that you can be diplomatically. All this tit for tat, flip flop, I don't know, seesaw back and forth that Trump is doing, it's not really looking good for him.
Right, man. And y'all can be against it all you want. You can be upset all you want. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. You guys, we see the truth. We see Trump's We see the way he is reacting. We see the words that are coming out of his mouth. His actions did not speak the truth that is what is happening in this area. We see nothing but failure. That's all he's doing. This conflict officially traces back to 2024 strike involving U.S. and Israeli operations against Iran. Then came the April ceasefire. Now we're in May, and the ceasefire looks shaky at best. Pakistan is coming in, reportedly trying to mediate negotiations. Marco Rubio says Iran may respond to a U.S. proposal soon. Maybe one day, soon. It is looking hard. They are looking terrible. They look weak. They talk big, Hegseth talking big with his chest out, but the actions are weakness. Every missile launch makes diplomacy harder. Every time they come to a microphone talking like they're big and bad and how tough they are, and Hegseth talk about how bad everyone they are and what they're going to do, and Trump talks horribly about the people of Iran, it makes negotiations harder. That's why presidents in the past wouldn't talk so much about the negotiations with reporters and the news. They will be short with what they're saying. Hey, we're negotiating. We're talking. The talks are still ongoing. We'll get back to you on where we are, but we're going to keep talking. Mm-hmm. Trump, their people are trash. They're savages. And thinks that he's going to be able to go to the negotiating table and be able to get a deal as he talks terrible about them. Oh, we're going to kill them all. We're going to kill them all. We're going to kill everyone. We're going to annihilate everyone in their group. Like the way he talks about people is just disgusting. And he thinks he's going to get a deal. But every tanker strike makes diplomacy harder. Every retaliatory attack makes diplomacy harder. We're never going to get a deal, Trump. Maybe shut the fuck up. And right now, the administration is trying to convince the public, trying to convince us that he's got it under control. When we all know this dude has no idea what the fuck he's doing. It looks like chaos. It doesn't look like control. It looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. It doesn't look like control. It looks like he's OC, as we call it. All the way out of control. And it's he has no excuse. Because the people he hired, when he's hired all of these news anchors, he's hired all these people with no history in their job performance, that they're in the job places that they've been placed in. No tenure. They haven't done none of these jobs before. And then they're coming in talking about DEI of other people. No experience. Hegseth does not deserve to be in the job he was in. The dude was what? A National Guardsman? Fuck out of here. It looks like chaos because it is chaos. If it looks like chaos,
smells like chaos.
Exactly. It's chaos. If the president, every time you see this dude, he has a different story, then that means that the story is even worse than the one that he's telling us. Yeah, Aaron Barron, it's all to protect the Epstein files. That's all it is. DEI is for losers. You're right. And while the Trump administration is filled with DEI hires that have no idea what the fuck they're doing, none of them have experience at the positions that they have been placed in. We got a dude from road rules running the damn airports, and planes are running into motherfuckers daily. Yeah, Hegseth is DEI. He has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
And a motherfucker from WWE running the Department of Education.
WWE running education. Janet Pirro. Like all these people, they're not supposed to be in those positions. Why talking about merit? Fuck out of here, man. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that many Americans may need to face. The United States may already be deeper into this conflict than the public fully realizes. And because once you are exchanging naval fire in the Strait of Hormuz, enforcing blockades, disabling tankers, and launching retaliatory strikes, you're not just standing on the edge of confrontation anymore. You're right dead in the middle of it. And if this ceasefire fully collapses, the economic and human consequences could spread far beyond Iran and the Gulf. And that's why this story matters to us, because it's not just about it being politically uh, advances to America or Iran. This is a global situation, and it's going to affect everyone globally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. This is it's embarrassing. I agree with you. What's that? Ian Gouge 3062. Everyone voted for him into office. Now people are complaining and doing absolutely nothing about it. Sorry, the rest of the world has seen Trump for who he is. Go ahead and put that one on there. Yeah, and I agree, man. You know, it's finally coming out. The cat's out the bag. The cat is meowed out the bag, man, and everybody's seeing Trump's weakness, his ability to not be able to negotiate,
Right.
his ability to try to use strength and power to punk people, but in the end, he is the one that ends up getting punked. He's the guy that talked tough in the fight, but in the end, he's the one getting his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it over and over again, and it's continuously happened, and the guy is an embarrassment. I'm embarrassing. You shouldn't worry about me, man. You should be worried about the president. He's running the country, just running his channel. This guy is running the country, man, making decisions about what's happening to us as a country. He's affecting our grocery prices. He's affecting our fucking gas prices.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying $6 a gallon for gas here in Arizona, man. Yeah, I'm getting premium, but I don't give a fuck. That's what I got to put in my car. And it's $6 a fucking gallon. And you all can sit around and make all the excuses you want to. When Biden was in office, we understood we was in a pandemic. That's why we didn't flip out and blame the shortage of toilet paper on him, because we understood what was going on.
Right.
With barges stuck at the borders. We got that. We figured that out. But right now we're in a problem that was self-made by a president who was trying to change the subject from the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was in the files, diddling little kids, and has all type accusations all in the files. Now, do we know they're true? No, we don't. But we know that this guy has done everything he can to change the subject, for we can't talk, can't vote, can't look at the Epstein files. You're a traitor, dog, if you're with this fucking dude. He don't care about America or Americans. All Trump care about is himself and how he looks in the media. If you can't see that, man, you need to take a look in the
And
mirror
how much
yourself.
money he can put in his pocket.
Yeah, man, that's all he care about, is how much money his family can get and how he looks in the eyes of the media. That's why he's building all these buildings, trying to make himself look good. Dude looks like trash. All right, now let's get into the clips for the week, man. We're going to roll through these clips one by one, let the audience hear exactly what was said, and then we'll break it down and talk to you guys afterwards. Some of these are funny. Some are disturbing. But some are dangerous. And some are just pure political chaos that we've been seeing from the Trump administration. Well, we got Donald Trump once again sounding completely disconnected from reality. Don't know if he's senile or what's going on. But clip one, Trump claims 4 or 5 snipers killed 42,000 Iranians. Crazy shit. Trump on Iran.
He said recently that if Iranians were armed, they could take over their regime. Do you plan to arm them soon?
Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, people say, why aren't they protesting? They want to protest, but they don't have any guns. So you could have 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 sick people with guns. And when they start shooting them right between the eyes, and you see a guy fall and another one fall, and you have no guns, very few people would be able to stand there and do it. I mean, I understand it. I tell them not to. Don't forget, they killed 42,000 people last month. 42,000 unarmed protesters. They had no guns. So they had a 250,000 people crowd, and they had snipers. They had like 4 or 5 snipers in buildings up high. And you're standing there, and all of a sudden the guy on your left goes down, and somebody. That's what happened with a women protest. They had 200,000 women protesting a year ago, and everyone thought that was the end of Iran. And then all of a sudden, a woman dropped dead with a bullet right there.
Talking about.
Then another woman dropped, and then the word started to spread, and then there was panic, and then they ran, and so I don't want that to happen. We don't need that, we don't need it. But the only reason that they want to protest so badly, but they don't have weapons.
All right. Let's try to process what we just heard, what we just listened to. 'Cause that was some straight bullshit. What the fuck was that?
Oh, God. Oh.
Trump out here casually claiming that 4 or 5 snipers killed 42,000 Iranians.
Oh, my goodness.
That sounds less likely, less like a military strategy and more like somebody describing their Call of Duty session.
Exactly what I was, man, dog.
Oh, and this right here is the part of a larger problem with the Trump's rhetoric during this Iranian conflict, because everything gets exaggerated into his superhero storytelling. There's never a nuisance, never any verified information, and there's never any caution to what he actually says. It's always, we've obliterated them, we've destroyed everything, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. Right? That's what he says.
Man.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon, the intelligence agencies, and the independent analysts, they're out there usually giving far more restrained assessments of actually what's going on.
Oh, man. It's so bad. Why? Why does our president sound like word salad? Why does he just sound like man, dog? Nothing he says is coherent. It's scary. And I mean, we're this dude is leading us. He's our leader because of you stupid fucks. And the horribly scary part is that millions of people treat these statements like official military briefings. They're listening to this crap and they're like, yeah, they're gung-ho. This is why critics say Trump turns geopolitics, man, into a reality television show. Because it's, if a president is casually throwing out impossible casualty claims with no actual fucking evidence, the public stops trusting the information. I don't know how anybody trusts anything this guy has to say. You have to be lost. Because it doesn't make any sense. The public, I hope we stop trusting the information that's coming out of his mouth, because like she said, if he's talking, he's lying. If his lips are moving, he's lying. Nothing else makes any fucking sense. This guy just making up casualty numbers, talking about, and this is in front of little kids. He's talking about people getting shot in between the eyes. Like, what are you talking about, my guy? These are little kids. They don't. There's a better way you could have answered that question without describing people dying and falling next to him and Like all of that shit you said could have been fucking kept to yourself. I mean, all of it. You could have kept that to yourself, homie. No one, no one needed to hear that shit you just said. All right, but let's talk to Jensen Hung. He's talking about California's wealth tax, what a lot of Republicans have been talking about and complaining about. But let's hear his idea. Go ahead. Oh, you got something to say though?
Yeah, I know. I got it, but I was still looking for the video.
Oh, I think it says no. It's a dude in black. No. Tax increase.
All right. The Nvidia CEO we're going to watch here, Jensen Hung, was asked about California's proposed wealth tax potentially costing him billions of dollars. And he answered what he said in his answer surprised a lot of people in the audience. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Most really wealthy people that I know are freaked out about the wealth tax proposal here and other places. You are not, even though it could cost you about $8 billion.
Hold on, so what'd you say? Say that again?
I'm afraid it could cost you $8 billion.
Let me do some fact checking before I answer that question.
Why are you not worried about it? What is it that you're so worried about so many other things, or is it you think it's fair to have that redistribution that comes back, or explain?
First of all, I prefer lower taxes than higher.
Yeah.
However, I also don't mind paying taxes. You know, I love this country. We don't exercise that many tax loopholes. I think once a year we get a bill, we pay it, and it's big, and I don't mind it. And Lori and I never one time think about it. We love this country. In a way, that's our way of giving back. I would love California to be better. I would love the United States.
Now, the Republicans, they love to act like all of the rich people are running because they don't want to pay taxes. And, you know, the poor people, they love pumping this and trying to act like they're so happy for the rich that are trying to run and not pay taxes. But one thing that you idiots forget is that the time that you guys love to say you want to go back to, the rich were taxed at 90% in the 60s and the 50s. The time that you say, you know, you want to love you, that when people were able to work and pay and buy a home and buy a car and a man was able to, they were taxed at 90% there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rich people, they don't want to be taxed. They want to keep their money so they can buy frivolous things and buy more jets. They love it. And it's a lot of people who want them to be able to buy all the jets they can and be able to take all the money and hoard all the money they can, so they can have $1 trillion and all of us can be broke as fucking. We can't even afford fucking bread. But it's cool. Let them have everything. As long as they have 9 planes, then the poor people feel good about themselves, even though they can't afford a bowl of fucking Cheerios. It's silly to see all of you people fighting for these people to make sure that they can get more and more dollars. While our infrastructure fails, our schools are failing. We're taking out physical education. Our kids are fat. We do everything we can to hurt ourselves, breaking our neck to make sure that they get all the dollars that they can. We have one guy, this guy like, man, I don't mind paying fucking taxes. It's not a big deal. I'm a fucking billionaire. But we got poor people. We don't want them to pay any taxes. We think they shouldn't have to pay anything. While the average person is paying a higher percentage of taxes on their dollars than the richest people in the fucking country. The 1% get all the incentives. You guys don't understand how the system works, man. In the times that America was the best, we taxed them the most. And there still was rich ass people. they're going to be rich regardless, man. This little taxing is not going to hurt them. I know you guys don't want them to get taxed. Oh, I don't want Elon to get taxed. I want him to be able to buy all of the frivolous bullshit he wants. He has 10 houses across the country. He needs an 11th one. I can't afford anything. I can't buy anything. But I want Elon to be able to buy everything, and I hope he gets $1 trillion. That's how y'all sound, man. It's so fucking ignorant. These states with no income tax, they just pay the taxes just get moved onto the sales tax. The taxes are still there. States aren't losing any money. They're gonna do whatever they can to get that fucking tax money. Y'all sit around acting like Republican states don't have taxes. They have the highest sale taxes in the country. They make up the money from income taxes in other places. Mm-hmm. That shit's fascinating, man, politically, because Jensen Hung basically says, I don't mind paying taxes. It's not a big deal. I love this country. But conservatives try to act like they care more about this fucking country and they don't want to pay a fucking dime. Only thing they care about is themselves. They don't want to pay any money to taxes. And we hate taxes. We hate it. They don't want to. They love the army. They love the police. They love the fire department. They love all of these things that come along with having taxes, but they don't want to fucking pay any. Mm-hmm. And this matters because conservatives often frame every wealthy business leader as automatically anti-tax because everybody isn't a greedy piece of shit. But increasingly, you're seeing billionaires split on this issue. Some of them recognize that public infrastructure in cities and streets, universities, schools, research funding, that these things matters. Roads, ports, and internet systems, all of these things that makes our lives better today have to come from fucking somewhere. All of that money helps increase and create the environment where companies like Nvidia explode in value. These things matter.
And let's be honest here, Nvidia is making historic amounts of money because AI is booming, is becoming the center of the global economy. And so Hung probably understands that the public has optics too. If regular people are struggling with rent, groceries, healthcare, and gas prices while tech executives are worth tens of billions of dollars, then eventually the public is going to start demanding some redistribution of the funds that are being applied and allocated towards these corporations. So that debate is only going to get louder as AI grows stronger every year.
Right. Now, red states are the taking states. They take when it comes to everything. The donor states are the blue states. Illinois, California. Red states take. They take for aid. They have the most people on food stamps. You could try to blame it on the blue states all you want to, but we got a red president, red Congress, red Senate, and our debt and deficit is exploding under these deficit hawks.
Ballooning.
Now, next we're going to listen to Jeanine Pirro and the weaponization of the justice system that's we've been seeing under the Trump administration. Critics are accusing U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, who shouldn't have this fucking job, of turning prosecutions into political theater. Go ahead and run a Jeanine Pirro. Should be at the top right there.
Before you go, the criminal investigation into the outgoing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell that you suspended.
Yes.
I know you've spoken with my next guest, Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina.
I have not spoken
you have not?
about this case ever.
No. Okay. So he has concerns about the investigation, obviously.
Yeah.
If the Inspector General ultimately does not find any criminal wrongdoing, any evidence of criminal wrongdoing by Jerome Powell, will you commit that you will not restart the investigation?
Here's the bottom line. The reason that I made the decision to allow the Inspector General to go forward with an investigation is because a federal judge, Judge Boasberg, made a decision that a perfectly legitimate subpoena should be quashed and that I, as a prosecutor, cannot go into my own grand jury and present evidence when the United States Supreme Court has said I can present evidence based upon or open an investigation, suspicion, and rumors. I can start an investigation based on that. A judge has stopped me from doing that. And therefore, the only way to get evidence, the only way to find out what happened is through the Inspector General. And I spoke to Michael Horowitz and I said, I would like this in short order. You have the ability to talk to witnesses. I have been foreclosed from doing that. And we continue to litigate the issue. And we will litigate the issue. We're going to make a motion to vacate the order of Judge Boasberg because we think it's extremely important for us as prosecutors, the precedent that it sets, to prevent us from going into a grand jury.
So it does not sound like you're committing to, if the Inspector General finds nothing, you won't move forward. It sounds like you're going to keep trying to find out more.
No, it depends on what he finds.
Depends on what he finds. But if he finds nothing...
Let me tell you something. When I was a DA, Child Protective Services would come in and say, we found nothing. It's often that I could go in and say, you found nothing, but I found a crime. So I want to see those statements. I want to see what's there. If there's something there, great. And if there isn't, I'll go home.
Okay. U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Hope you'll come back.
This is just one of the biggest fears that people have right now about American institutions. Justice is no longer being viewed as something that's neutral. And when prosecutors become television personalities, and when legal cases become partisan entertainment, and when every indictment immediately gets filtered through cable news narratives, you and I, the public, we lose trust in those institutions.
And if you ever trusted anything that Jeanine Pirro said, you are an idiot anyway. And this isn't a Democrat or Republican issue right on that, man. Once people believe prosecutions and depend on politics instead of evidence, the legitimacy of the entire system starts to erode. That's why we see so many people in jail for crimes that they didn't commit. We see people in jail for 30, 40, 50 years, and we come out and find out this guy didn't even do the shit. We see so many people, police officers who commit horrendous crimes, shoot people. We saw a guy here in Arizona. He came to a crime situation. The homeowner is fighting with the intruder. The police officer shoots the homeowner. He will face no criminals proceedings, nothing. He will just go on with his life like everything is cool after he just shot the fucking homeowner. And these are the things that we see in this country because we automatically believe that the people in the government and the people in the state are correct and they're right and they're never wrong. And we start to see in the system starting to erode. It's dangerous territory for a democracy to be in because eventually half the country sees convictions as fake and the other half sees acquittals as corruption. That's institutional decay is what we're seeing as a country. And it's not a good road to go down. As partisan ideas and partisan fights are happening on the justice system and the FBI, just because they say, oh, well, Biden did it. But Biden did not tell the FBI or the DOJ to go after Trump. Trump committed crimes. Those crimes are right in the face of people who make sure that crimes don't happen.
Right.
But they were supposed to look the other way. Like Stephen A. Smith said, they were supposed to ignore all the crimes that Trump committed. Like it's ignorant to say it. And anybody else, anyone else who would say, oh, they were just supposed to ignore my crimes, y'all would go crazy. But since it's Trump, it's all good. It's all good. Let's ignore all the crimes that this dude has committed. But anyway, we got Marco Rubio says Operation Epic Fury is over. But we're not really seeing that.
Yep. In this next clip, you're going to hear Marco Rubio say that the military has phased out Operation Epic Fury. And it's now complete, and the administration is now pivoting towards peace and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
The operation is over. Epic Fury, as the president notified Congress, we're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. The operation, Epic Fury, is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal. He would prefer to sit down, work out a memorandum of understanding for future negotiations that touches on all the key topics that have to be addressed, a full opening of the strait so the world can get back to normal. that he preferred that be negotiated through the route that Steve and Jared have been working, and that all of us have.
Just nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You see this where this administration message gets confusing. On one hand, we got Rubio is saying we're done with that stage, but on another hand, American destroyers are still getting attacked. I don't get it. I don't understand. Tankers are still being disabled, and the missiles are still flying around the Gulf. What is going on? So people hear mission accomplished while the conflict still looks active, and Americans have heard this language before. Limited engagement, they keep saying. Mission accomplished. Just a short operation. Just a stroll through Iran. Then suddenly the country is stuck in a stupid ass conflict for years.
Yep. And that's just why public skepticism is high right now when people remember Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Once the Middle East starts escalating, Americans are no longer trust any of the quick victory narratives that we're getting from the administration.
That's right. That's right. And you heard we said Libya because we didn't 100% agree with what Obama did to help Libya during their Arab Spring and the revolution that happened there.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get constitutional okay. We know we didn't put troops there. But this is one of the things that we kind of disagree with when it came to with Obama. But let's listen to J.B. Pritzker talking about he thinks Trump has dementia. This next clip, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker goes directly at Trump's mental fitness, and he doesn't sound like he has much confidence in Trump.
I think he, like a lot of bullies, you know, if you push back on a bully, oftentimes they actually do take a step back. So that I can't explain because I don't understand. I think the man has dementia. I don't really understand how it works up there for him, but I can tell you that he doesn't seem to like me. He mentions me very often, and sometimes completely out of the blue. He's not talking about Illinois. He's not talking about Chicago. He just somehow I pop up in his head and he wants to take after me.
Do you think he had dementia in the first term, or was that recent to this term?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Do you notice it more pronounced now?
Oh, my goodness. This time it's much more pronounced. And I mean, from day one, in fact, during the campaign, I think I felt that. And again, I think it's kind of a sad state of affairs because someone who's suffering from dementia, I mean, they genuinely need help. And there's no one around him who wants to help him. All those people are just sycophants. They just love their jobs. They don't want to get fired from their jobs. They know that he could at any moment.
That's just crazy. Now, politically, the Democrats are becoming way more aggressive with this line of attack. For years, the Republicans have targeted Biden's age and his cognition. And Democrats are now flipping that same conversation back towards Trump after a series of rambling speeches, strange claims, and public confusion moments.
Yeah, I mean, you hear him talk, and you hear it when he speaks. It's genuinely bad. Honestly, once politicians start openly using the words like dementia, man, you're entering a very ugly stage of American politics. But that's the way they've treated Biden for years. They still talk about Biden in that way. And when you're talking about cognitive abilities, to me, Biden blows Trump out of the water. I mean, I was able to fucking understand when he was talking. It didn't sound like a bunch of run-on sentences. But we got both parties essentially accusing each other's leaders of being mentally unfit to govern, as Democrats are saying the same thing about Trump as, they said about Biden. But that's where we are as a country, man, as we fight and fight and fight about every fucking thing. They cried and cried every fucking day under Biden. But we're going to go to this next clip, man, where Bernie Sanders gives a warning about AI and the future of AI.
You know, maybe I'm crazy, John. Maybe I am. I know one or two people have told me about, including my wife. If scientists who are Nobel Prize winners, guys who've gotten the Turing Award, which is the major award given to people in computer science, if they say to you that humanity is in danger. Do you think you might want to do something about it? Or am I missing something? You tell me.
So no, the percentages are also there's only a 10% chance humanity is destroyed. It's like, well, I don't like those odds.
Only a 10% chance. John,
I know. I'm with you.
This is the point. The point is that again, either I'm nuts or a 10% chance, that the whole world might be destroyed. Yeah, I think we might want to get to work to prevent that. And this is preventable, by the way. It's nothing to do with competing against China. It's coming together to prevent what might be a catastrophe.
Now, we have Trump, who was trying to put in laws to make sure that states don't put in anything to prevent the AI data, the data centers. He threatened them. Any state that put in any provisions or anything to try, any rules or laws to try to prohibit AI or the data centers, he's going to punish them. Now, Bernie Sanders asked a lot of questions about more people. Oh, my bad.
Are you right? Like you were saying, Bernie Sanders asked ask a question a lot of people are starting to ask. What if AI actually becomes dangerous to American civilization? And at what levels will it be harmful? Mm-hmm. We heard him.
Yeah, this may sound dramatic, but major scientists, tech leaders, and AI researchers have generally warned about uncontrolled AI risk. And right now, like I said, we have a leader who doesn't want to do anything about AI, data centers, and he doesn't want any rules put in place to try to curtail or curve the way we are going into this AI head first, without knowing the risk, without knowing what's going to happen to society, jobs, and people. The companies are just going in. They're spending billions and billions of dollars. They don't know what the productivity is going to be like, or if this is going to hurt jobs in the long run. They don't care. They're just spending the money. And I don't think that we are doing enough research, or we're not putting in enough barriers or parameters to make sure this doesn't hurt us in the long run. And it's just like always, we're going to be a country that reacts instead of a country that's going to be reactive instead of proactive. Mm-hmm. We're not going to put something in place that's going to keep us from getting hurt. We're going to get hurt, and then we're going to try to fix that hurt after the hurt already happens. Right. And that's the way we govern in America. And the risks, to me, are just unfathomable. There's no reason for us to put ourselves in this position, but this is what we're going to do. And Bernie's larger point is important. Why is every conversation about AI framed as a race against China, instead of looking at this as a global safety issue, what it may be? Because these people may be able to break into banks, break into accounts using AI, and we're not thinking about the bad things that may come when all these people have this power and the ability to use AI to do whatever the hell they want.
Exactly, because right now corporations and governments are moving at full speed to dominate AI economically and militarily. But regulation, ethics, and safety guardrails, those conversations are happening way slower than the technology improvements themselves. And history shows that humans are very good at creating powerful systems before they actually understand the full consequences behind that technology.
Mm-hmm. So next we got Joanne Reed. She's going after MAGA Judiciary picks. Something that's been a big problem, man, is Trump has packed the courts with a whole bunch of right wingers, and they have their views, and their views are fucking horrible for the American people, man. Most people are against right wing views and conservative views. Most people are not religious and church bent, but these guys are, and they're pushing their ideals on everyone in America. And Joy Reid is going to talk about that. Joanne Reid unloads on MAGA, their nominees. Go ahead and run that video.
These same nominees for the judiciary could not admit that Joe Biden beat Donald Trump in the 2020 election. They can't do it because they're still performing for an audience of one. And the fact that attorneys, people who want to be lifetime appointed judges, can't simply quote the 22nd Amendment and say, of course not. He's been president for 2 terms. He can't be president again. They can't do it because they know they'll be punished by a Truth Social post.
Yep.
And then they won't be able to be judges because the cowards in the United States Senate on the Republican side, plus the one from Pennsylvania who pretends to be a Democrat, won't vote for them.
Right.
So the reality is, in order to get the job, they have to debase themselves. Republicans are supposed men who live on their knees. Not a single one of them is a man. They are quislings. They are cowards. They are supine, pathetic worms who pretend to be.
That's real.
This is another major long-term political battle that people are paying attention to because presidents leave office, Congress changes every few years, but the judges, they can shape American politics and laws for decades. That's why the judicial appointments have become such ideological warfare in our own country.
That's real. And both parties understand that the courts now decide enormous issues: voting rights, abortion, executive power, labor rights, gerrymandering, immigration. So every judicial nomination now feels like some fucking proxy war for America's future. And it's crazy to see civil rights and all of these rights that we fought so hard for and Martin Luther King fought for. The judges just okay with slashing them down. Saying that racism isn't a problem in America anymore. We're in a post-racist country. We're all good. Even though we have a million hate groups running around everywhere and everything's just horrible for Black people when it comes to economics and home ownership. Nothing has been evened out, but we're still going to keep acting like everything is cool.
Right. But in our next clip, we're going to talk about how the new polling says that most Americans are now blaming Trump for the soaring gas prices during the Iranian conflict.
Yeah, so obviously ending the war, very critical ahead of the midterms. And Americans, I mean, we know they want lower gas prices. They want lower grocery prices. They want things back to normal. According to a new NPR, PBS, Marist, another liberal outlet poll, 81% say the pain at the pump is really putting a strain on their household budgets. Strong majority blame the president for this. Do you worry about this heading into the midterms, or do you think once the war's over and we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, people are going to go, okay, it was worth that short-term price increase?
Well, we do need to get the prices down because it is a key. Look, the November election will turn on the economy unless we have this war still going, which we are not. So it will turn on the economy. And I believe that once people get the idea that their lives are improving, and they are improving in many factors, but we do need to get that price down because it's right there in your face every day when you buy gasoline or diesel.
And this is where Trump's foreign policy becomes domestic paying immediately. People may not follow every military update about the Strait of Hormuz, but they absolutely notice the $8 gas that's going on in California. That shit changes election. It changes approval ratings. That changes consumers' behavior.
Yep. And politically, this undercuts one of Trump's biggest selling points, the economy. Because Trump's image has always been tied to lower costs, stronger markets, and economic confidence. Not a lot of Americans have an economic confidence these days. But if the people associate this Iran conflict with inflation and energy spikes, that becomes a major vulnerability heading into future elections, particularly in this year's midterms.
Yeah, man. But this next clip, man, you're gonna listen to these people, how they just pushed out this Kid Rock helicopter disaster bullshit and an investigation that was going on with it. Trump killed it. The last clip of the day, apparently Trump approved closing the investigation into the helicopter flyby at Kid Rock's house. Do we have it? There we go.
I want to close by talking about helicopters. Mr. Secretary, I want to ask about the Army Apache helicopter that flew over Kid Rock's property on March 28th. An investigation was launched by the 101st Combat Aviation Brigade Command Leadership, but before that review is completed on March 31st, you terminated it via social media post. Did you personally direct termination of that review?
I did.
Okay. Now, the president said that he probably shouldn't have been doing it and that I'd take a look at it. So did you talk to the president before terminating that review?
Well, I don't relay what I talk about with the
I think
president.
unfortunately that means that you did talk to him, which in turn means that you've just confirmed that the president himself overruled the leadership of the 101st Airborne. Mr. Secretary, you yourself have affirmed repeatedly the need for higher standards and higher accountability at every level of your agency. Commanders rely on established processes to uphold these standards. How does canceling a command-initiated review by the 101st Airborne leadership support a culture of accountability? Actually, I think I'll ask that of the chairman.
Sir, back to my earlier comments about the importance in my role of staying in the middle. What you're alluding to is, in my assessment, with deep respect for your ask, is a partisan question, and I think it would be inappropriate for me to answer that.
Sir, I actually don't think it is. I think it is actually a very fundamental principle of accountability in our department, and I think it was the wrong decision. I'm going to close by just saying one thing. Mr. Secretary, you started this hearing by politicizing it, and I want to make one point. Poll after poll shows that the American public does not support this war, and support is dropping every day. We are all representing our constituents, which is our constitutional duty. And to state that we are politicizing it is an affront to Congress and every member in this House, and I yield back.
You are politicizing it, Congressman.
Fuck out of
The gentleman's time.
Out of here, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. And honestly, this clip sums up what we were talking about perfectly. Modern American politics. The country is dealing with war tensions, gas prices, AI fears, judicial fights, and constitutional debates. And yet somehow we still end up talking about the Kid Rock helicopter incident.
That's America in 2026, man. Reality TV mixed with geopolitics, and sometimes it feels like the line between entertainment and government has completely fucking disappeared. It's not there. All right, man. I think those was a clip. Did we have Trump talking about gas prices go down? Did we already play that? Yeah, play that.
They asked us not to do it during the negotiation.
Are you considering maybe going back to that now that gas prices are more than $4.50?
Well, no, gas prices have come down today. Have you looked? They've come down very substantially today. The gas prices, you know what's happened today? Gas prices are way down and the stock market is way up today. So gas prices have come down, and I saw today that they broke negatively. In other words, to our positive position, they broke our way very substantially. And when the war is over, gas will fall down at levels that you've never seen before. You'll be down to where you were, maybe even lower. We had it down to, I was in Iowa, and we were at 85, or about 85. What did you say? Yeah, we broke it. We broke it. We had numbers that nobody's seen in a long time. So you had $2 a gallon. We were down, I think, to $1.85, $1.90 in Iowa and a lot of other places. Outside of California, where California charges such a high tax on the gasoline, when you take that tax off, but California has a tremendous, I don't know if any.
If you believe this guy,
Something
if you
wrong with
believe this dude, you have been drinking the Kool-Aid. You're lost, man. This dude does nothing but lie. Anyone with half of a brain knows that gas is not $1.85. And it hasn't been since probably 2000 something, early 2000 something. Not here, it hasn't. And I don't know about your backwater ass state. That wasn't an old clip. That was the other day, man. This guy is lying, and he lies every day. All of our clips are from this week. That's what we roll with. Clips from the week.
I don't know where you seeing $7 for a gallon of milk, but out here it's $2.98 for a gallon of milk in
Man,
Arizona.
that's crazy. $7 for milk. Holy shit balls. Yeah, man.
Right.
I would be figuring out something else to drink with.
The only state that I can figure out, only state I can figure out where milk might be that expensive is Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii. You know, they suffer because
they import a lot.
Yeah, they live in the middle of the fucking ocean.
Mm-hmm.
But we have one more, man. We got Charlemagne the God. He's talking to Dana White, the owner of UFC, and he's just kissing Trump's ass. Something he's been doing a lot lately. He has the event that's going to be going on in front of the White House that Trump keeps talking about. They're going to have a UFC event in front of the White House. If this not idiocracy, I don't know.
Trump is a good friend of mine. I mean, I've been friends with him for 25 years. Mm-hmm. Friends. I mean, he just happened to become the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. This was a guy that was always good to me and, you know, always treated me well, and I did it.
I can understand that. You know, that's your friend. But when your friend has a disapproval rating of 62%, right, record high, people say they don't like his handling of the Iran war, the economy's shitty, cost of living for people is fucked up. Why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? As a friend.
Well, he's the president of the United States.
Still your friend, though.
And yeah, I know. But, you know, for me to get involved in, it's like, I'm sure people disagree with you that are friends with you, and everybody has friends that you just, doesn't mean you're not friends with them anymore. That doesn't mean that you.
Oh, no, I didn't say you shouldn't be friends with him. I just said, why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? Because these are the same people who make UFC a success.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that he's failing the people. When the president is done in 3 years, people will look back on and realize a lot of the good things. See, I'm closer to him too, and I see all the good things that he does.
But tariff inflation has increased the price of household goods, increased utility bills because household electricity costs have gone up 9%. The failure to extend the Affordable Care Act has fucked up people's health care. Everyday working class people who support your sport are hurting.
You're never going to have a president that everybody approves 100% of everything they do, and not everything is always going to be perfect. You're going to have some things that work out great and a lot of things that don't.
Oh, I agree.
When they're the president of the United States.
But can you tell your friend when he's...
Yeah, we talk about a lot of things, but I don't try to get into...
You like everything he's doing?
Like I just said, you're never going to agree with everything. But
so your relationship with Trump is bigger than business. It's actually personal.
Yeah. Man, Dana White talking that garbage. You can ignore the things that's going on because you're rich and you don't care what's happening to the normal people that watch your program. But I've been off UFC ever since I've seen the ass kissing that UFC has been doing to Trump. I'm good. Y'all playing politics, acting like this guy's your friend and shit. Most companies stay out of that shit because they don't want anything to do with politics. But, oh, it's my friend, he's my guy. Nah, it's that you have gained because you have connected yourself to this guy. And now the right feel as though they have a connection to UFC because they think they're tough guys. So they are watching it, and he is pushing it towards them because he's seeing that is the people that are buying his product. It's gonna blow up in his face because most people don't even watch UFC anymore that I know because it's not a good product anymore. Mm-hmm. But he can keep on kissing Trump's ass, doing everything Trump want, do it all. I think in the end it's gonna hurt him. Because any people that are going to be in the proximity of Trump is going to feel pain.
Yeah,
they're going to feel pain because the reaction from Trump's presidency for the next 8 years after he's gone is going to be just all regurgitation of garbage that Trump has spilled, and people are just going to throw it back at everyone that loved this guy, everyone that put their fucking hat with them. They're going to pay the price. They're all going to pay the price in the future, man. All these people who think that they're all good, they're yelling at reporters and talking all big, Kash Patel and all these Janine Pearl and all these people who aren't shit, treating everybody like trash. They're going to pay the price. Trump is going to turn on them. You're going to end up how Rudy Giuliani is ending up right now, broke, on his deathbed, hurting, and Trump ain't going to come there for you and help you. It's crazy, man. But this is what the Kool-Aid drinkers want.
Yep.
So those were the clips of the week, man. Coming up next, next week, man, we're going to dive into the media reaction, online backlash, and how social media is reshaping political narratives in real time. We'll be talking about those things on Wednesday. But that's our Saturday morning show. We appreciate everyone that's been talking with us and speaking with us and giving their responses and their comments. We talked about gerrymandering and how voting rights, to the escalating Iran conflict, to the week's wildest political clips. One thing becomes clear: America is in a period of deep instability politically, economically, and culturally. People are questioning institutions. People are tired of Trump, and they're questioning the things that he's telling the media. People are also questioning the courts. And are they partisan? Are they a part of the political party of the Republicans? It definitely seems like they're trying to bring in Jim Crow 2.0 as this court, this political, this conservative court is pushing Project 2025 harder than President Trump. And increasingly, people are questioning whether the people in power are actually telling them the truth. We know that they're lies. And everybody is starting to see the lies come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make sure that we are there, man. We are in your ears, because shows like Habari Live matter to speak the truth. We not always agree on issues, but we're going to keep having these conversations. Mainstream outlets are afraid to have. We're going to talk about it. Like Fox News, they're too partisan or too corporate to fully unpack what's really going on in this world. So if you enjoyed today's show, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share the stream with somebody who actually wants deeper conversations about what's going on in this country.
And don't forget to become a member.
Yes, please. Instead of political slogans. And remember, don't just react to headlines, study the systems behind them. I'm Damon from Habari Live. Habari Ghani. News our way, like always, the best way.
Holla, holla.
Peace out.
Thanks for watching another episode of Habari Live. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get updates on news, the podcast, and more. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to visit www.habarientertainment.com. See you next week. Peace.